Welcome to Building Confident Kids with me, Sensei Steve, a weekly series where I share lessons from over 50 years in martial arts and more than 30 years of teaching children to help parents raise confident, resilient kids. Parents often tell their children, just ignore the bully. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't, because bullying is rarely about one comment. It's often about testing boundaries. The bully says something, then watches for a reaction. Will the child freeze, look down, become upset, stay silent? This happened to my son not too long ago. He's learned not to engage and give the bully what they're looking for. My name is Steve Hiscoe. I own Hiscoe Jiu-Jitsu in Chilliwack, BC. What I know is that the bully is typically looking for a reaction and deciding whether to continue. That doesn't mean the child caused the bullying. The responsibility always belongs to the person choosing to bully. But we can still teach children how to respond with greater confidence. Over the years, I've met many children who came into our dojo because they were struggling at school. Some had been teased, some were being pushed around. Others were simply afraid that they would become a target. One thing I noticed repeatedly was that many of these children tried to make themselves smaller. They walked with their shoulders rounded. They avoided eye contact. They spoke so quietly that others could barely hear them. They hoped that if they disappeared into the background, no one would notice them. Unfortunately, that can sometimes have the opposite effect. So before we ever talked about punches and kicks and throws, we worked on something much more important. How they stood, how they walked, how they looked at people, how they used their voice, teaching them to be assertive. Confidence changes how a child carries themselves. A confident child does not need to act tough. They don't need to threaten anyone. They don't need to become aggressive. They simply need to communicate. I see what's happening, and I'm not an easy person to intimidate. That message begins with body language. Don't be the sickly little deer at the back of the pack that the lion is trying to attack. Stand upright. Keep your head up. Look towards the person that is speaking to you. Use a calm, clear voice. Create distance. Move towards safe people. These skills sound simple, but under stress, simple skills are often the hardest ones to use. This is why we must practice them. At Hiscoe Jiu-Jitsu, self-defense begins long before physical confrontation. We teach students to recognize trouble early. We teach them to use their voice. We teach them to set a boundary. A child might say, stop, back off, don't touch me, don't talk to me like that. Those words should be clear and strong, not screamed in panic and not whispered while you're looking at the floor. If you're screaming, you're giving the bully the reaction they're looking for. We also teach students that leaving is not cowardly. Getting help is not a weakness. Telling a trusted adult is not tattling when somebody is being hurt, threatened, or repeatedly targeted. Real self-defense is not about winning a fight, it's about staying safe. There are two pieces of advice that are often given too quickly. The first is, just ignore it. Ignoring minor teasing may sometimes remove the reacting person is looking for. But repeated bullying should not be dismissed or hidden. The second is, hit them back. That may sound decisive, but it can create bigger consequences and leave the child confused about when physical force is appropriate. Before giving either instruction, parents need to understand what is really happening. Ask questions. Where did this happen? How often? Who was there? Was there a threat? Was there physical contact? Has an adult at the school been told? Their response should fit the situation. I would teach children a simple sequence. Stand, speak, move, tell. Stand with strong posture. Speak clearly. Stop. Leave me alone. Don't speak to me like that. Move away towards friends, teachers, or another safe space and tell a trusted adult exactly what's happening. Not they were mean to me, but they pushed me near the basketball court at lunch and this has happened 3 times this week. Specific information helps adults respond. Physical self-defense should be the last option, not the first. But if a child cannot safely leave and someone is physically attacking them, they need to know how to protect themselves long enough to be able to escape and get help. This is why responsible martial arts training matters. Children need more than just techniques. They need judgment. They need self-control. They need to understand the difference between defending themselves and retaliating out of anger. The goal is always safety, not revenge. With back to school upon us, practice one bullying scenario with your child. Keep it simple. Stand a few feet away. Say something like, "Give me your lunch money," or something like, "You can't play with us, go away." Then have your child practice standing upright, looking forward, using a clear voice, saying "Stop, leave me alone," moving towards a safe adult. Don't turn this into a lecture. Practice it like any other skill, because confidence under pressure rarely appears by accident. It comes from preparation. Bullying is never the victim's fault, but preparation gives children options. We can't guarantee that our children will never face cruel or aggressive behavior. What we can do is help them develop the confidence to recognize it, respond clearly, get help, protect themselves when necessary. Remember, a confident child does not have to prove how tough they are. They simply need to know that they have choices. If you found this helpful, follow Building Confident Kids with Sensei Steve for weekly parenting insight, drawn from 50 years of martial arts training and more than 30 years of teaching children. Till next time, help your child stand tall, speak clearly, and know when to walk away.